Hi, welcome to this episode of Thai Food. On this episode, we're going to do bourbon chicken. I'm doing a little prep work here to get started. First things first is you want to take your chicken thighs and you want to get most of the fat out of them and get them cubed up into about 1-inch pieces. And I've already gone ahead and done that here. Now to marinate them, there's a little marinating process here, and I wrote it down what I did. All I did was, you got about 1.5 pounds here roughly of the chicken thighs, and I want 1 tablespoon of water in this, half a teaspoon of mushroom soy sauce, the mushroom soy sauce I got right here. I put a half teaspoon of that on there. Then you're going to do a half a teaspoon of Knorr liquid seasoning with that, and then I've got the regular Kikkoman soy sauce that I use. And that gets 1.5 teaspoons of that. And then you just kind of want to mix and knead the bag until it gets all thoroughly developed. And let this sit. And that chicken's going to just absorb that liquid. And you really won't see any liquid in there. I've actually had this sit in a couple days like this, just because I was prepping chicken thighs for dinner the other night. And so I went ahead and just did this, just to have it ready for this. Made my life that much easier. You know, to each their own, but this has got a bit of prep work with it. So I'm going to go ahead and start prepping some of the other ingredients. I got 3/4 cup of water. I went ahead and heated this, and we're going to turn this into like a chicken broth. I've got one of those cubes here, and I kind of cut the cube into 4 because, you know, this will do 2 cups of water. And I only need about half a cup worth of it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And it's basically going to be a, weak broth. Because I don't need a whole lot of flavor from this, just a little bit. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put that in there. And just get this dissolving in this hot water. Heated the water up just so that I could dissolve this into it. And then we're going to add some of our other ingredients to get ready. So, also in this recipe, we're going to do some apple juice. And I've just got some Simply Apple. And I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. This is just stuff I prefer to use. You can use whatever you prefer to use. I've got a liquor measuring jig here. And it's got little dimples that stick out for the appropriate amounts. It goes from 1/2 ounce to ounce, 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces. Basically for measuring shots, and I'm just going to use this for the apple juice. We're going to do 2 ounces of apple juice, which is a 1/4 cup. So if you had a 1/4 measuring cup, you could do that and just measure out a 1/4 cup of it. And want to make sure this is pretty well dissolved before I lower my temperature on this here. Okay, so we're going to put 2 ounces of the apple juice in there with that. I'm going to set that off to the side because I'm going to use it to measure my bourbon out later. I'm just using some Jim Beam bourbon. You can use whatever brand you prefer. That just happens to be what I decided to go with. Let's get my soy sauce ready to go here. If I can get my notes up here. That's the problem with electronic devices. Alright. So, mushroom soy sauce, amongst other things. So to this, we want to add a tablespoon of mushroom soy sauce. Again, you don't have to use the mushroom soy sauce. You could just use straight soy sauce. But I like the flavor and the sodium I get out of this when I add it. So we're going to do 1 tablespoon of the mushroom soy sauce in there like so. Okay, and we're going to need a tablespoon of dark soy sauce, which I have right here. And this is a mushroom dark soy sauce. Again, you don't have to use the mushroom dark soy sauce. Any dark soy sauce will work. I just like the flavor the mushroom adds. There we go. Give that a little swirl in there to rinse it off. Adds a nice dark hue to it. Go ahead and put this back down here out of my way. Regular soy sauce. Tablespoon of this. And again, just regular Kikkoman. So you could have just used 2 tablespoons of this if you didn't have the regular mushroom soy sauce like I do. Could have just done 2 tablespoons of this instead of 1 of each. But I like to be complicated sometimes. Again, complex flavors sometimes are real good together. And that's it for the soy sauces. Now we're going to want a tablespoon of rice vinegar. Sweetheart, could you give me the brown sugar? I forgot to grab it out. And so we're going to do a tablespoon of rice vinegar into here as well. Thank you. A nice amount of acid to cut the sweetness of the dish. Alright. So we got all that. Now we want, okay, so we got the chicken broth in here. Brown sugar. So I'm going to trade that spoon out for a different one. Now, if you have one of those, I'm forgetting what it's called now, the coarse sugar, sugar in the raw, basically you could use that as well instead of the brown sugar. But we're going to mix in 2 tablespoons of brown sugar here. There we are. And they were packed, so don't be scared to pack them. 2 tablespoons brown sugar packed. Go ahead and work on dissolving this. Let me grab some white pepper here. I'm going to want an 1/8 teaspoon of ground white pepper. And that just looks like that for the one I've got. Again, not sponsored by any company. Just happens to be what I got. So 1/8 teaspoon, we'll just go ahead and put that right in there. And I'm just throwing it all together like this because it makes it so much easier when you're cooking. So you throw your chicken in there. And, you know, you'll see later in the video here, I'll get it, you know, cooked up pretty good, and then I'll pull the chicken off to the side. And that's when I'll go in with the sauce. And before I put the sauce in there, I'm going to deglaze the pan with the bourbon. There's that. Alright, so to this, I want to take and I want to steep a chunk of ginger here. So we're just going to, I'm going to trim it right about there. And I'm going to split this in half and then smash it. Basically, you just want, you know, like a 1/4 inch slice or so. And then you want to take and just give that a smash. And put this right in. And we're going to probably pull this out just before we serve it. We're not going to leave that in there. But get it in there like that and it'll start steeping. We can set this liquid off to the side here. Because that's basically the essence of your sauce. Another thing we're going to want is I got about 2 cloves of garlic here that I finely minced. And I had them in a container. I was prepping garlic again the other night for dinner. And I went ahead and had that all prepped up. And we're going to need about 1/4 cup of the onion. Finely minced. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that right now fresh. And I'll just go ahead and quickly mince this up and then I'll get right back to you. Okay, so like I said, I've got about 1/4 cup here of white onion minced, and I'm just going to add it to this container here. And that way there I got it all together for when I go to add it to my dish later. It'll make my life that much easier. And that's pretty much all I'm going to prep right at this moment. Then I'll get set up to cook and get back with you. Okay, so as you can see, I'm set up to cook now. I'm going to take my chicken out of the Ziploc bag here. And I'm just going to put it into this container. It's going to make this next part a little bit easier for me. Put that over there. I'm going to need this. Alright, now we want to put 2 teaspoons of cornstarch on the chicken before we sear it. And that's just going to help get it some color on it and caramelize it a little bit. So I'm going to put a couple teaspoons. Got a lot quieter in here. I was preheating my wok a little bit while I was waiting, because they don't want you to heat it all the way up at once. I got a 14-inch light cast iron wok that I picked up. Thought it was a decent price. It was about 30 bucks. So brand new. Believe it or not, I found it at Walmart, unfortunately. But it's a nice light cast iron. And the cast iron's nice because it's a little thicker wall than your carbon steel. So it's going to hold the heat a little bit better for you. Alright, only way to do this really is just get right in there with your hands. They'll wash after. But you want to not throw it on the floor like I did that piece. But you want to mix the cornstarch in really good. And it's going to get kind of thick and pasty. And that's pretty much what you're looking for. That little bit of pastiness. Like I said, it's going to put a little bit of a crust on the chicken here when we cook it. But you want to mix it in good. Make sure everything gets a little bit of a coat. And as you can see, this chicken absorbed that liquid I was telling you that I put on it. And I'm sure you could tell if the meat's a little darker than normal because of the soy sauce in that liquid mixture. And it's basically like doing a quick brine on it, in a way, because of the salt of the soy sauce and everything. And that liquid seasoning gets in on it too. Add some flavor in there. Alright. So now I'm going to try to keep all the chicken in there. So that's what that looks like after the fact. Let me wash my hands real quick here with some soap and water. Get them dry here. Alright, so I got the cornstarch on the chicken. I'm going to go ahead and get this going here on max sear. Get that heating up good. While that's heating up, I want another tablespoon of cornstarch. And I've got a tablespoon of water in this bowl. And I'm going to add a tablespoon of cornstarch to it. And this is going to help pretty much make the gravy for the bourbon chicken. Now, how thick you want your sauce to your bourbon chicken is up to you. If you don't want it as thick, do half a tablespoon of each. I had a discussion with my wife when I made this the other night, and she liked how thick it was because she likes to eat hers with chopsticks. I'm not talented enough for that. I don't care to do it. So basically she likes, that it helps the rice stick together when it's got a thicker sauce. But like I said, you can do a thinner sauce if you choose. And I'm just mixing this in here. I can already smell the wok heating up. Alright, so we're going to do a couple tablespoons of avocado oil now that this is heating up. You can see the avocado oil smoking a little bit. That means I'm right around 500 degrees, because that's the smoke point of this avocado oil in there. So that's what you want. You want it to start to come to a smoke when you go to sear this in here. And we're just going to go right in with the chicken. Dump it in there, let it get going. This is a silicone spatula for cooking in a wok. I'm going to go ahead and leave this on sear and just try to knock the pile over so that everything starts to sear. And you're just going to let this sit here for a little bit. You don't want to move it too quick because it will start to cake on the bottom and stick if you do that. Swing this around so I can. Yeah, it's got to go a little bit longer. So I'm just going to let that sit a little bit. While that's sitting, I'm going to turn my attention to my liquid here that I made earlier. And that's good right like that. I'm going to add my oils to this. So when it goes right in, the oils are going to be in there. Half a teaspoon of Colavita roasted garlic extra virgin olive oil here. Again, just happens to be what I prefer. Not sponsored by any companies here. And then I got a authentic sesame oil here. And the sesame oil is definitely key for that Chinese flavor. And half a teaspoon of that in there. I'm just going to give this a stir. I'm going to give this a check. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm looking for right there. Toss that there. Get this stirring around. Let it sit. Let that crisp up some more. I got rid of that spoon too soon. Luckily I got another one here. My Knorr liquid seasoning, I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of that into here. We had some in with the chicken while it's soaked as well. Now we're going to have that in here. I'm going to be good to go there. Okay, now I want to turn my attention to the bourbon now. Like I said, I just got some regular Jim Beam Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. And we're going to do 2 ounces of that, which is a 1/4 cup. And that's what we're going to deglaze our pan with. There we are. Go ahead and clear my counter off here a little bit. I'm going to use this to sieve out the chunks of ginger we got soaking in that. Check on this chicken. Oh yeah. Chicken's doing good. Not quite as hot as, at the restaurant, but it's cooking it. And it's getting, crispy bits on there. That's going to add flavor. All those brown spots, I don't know if you can all see that. But if I get a piece here, I'll show you. Oops. See me fighting with it. Lubricated properly, but I don't know if you saw that brown on that piece I just had up. But that's basically what you're looking for, is brown bits on there like so. You could probably cut this back to a tablespoon of oil. I think I got a little too much in there this time. Last time I didn't have enough. At least I didn't think I had enough. But I'm still learning how to cook with a wok, to be honest with you. First time owning one. But I really like this lightweight cast iron. It works good. Best part is it works good on an induction cooker as well. We're just looking to give this a quick sear as it is anyways. And I'm going to start offloading it into this bowl here, this Pyrex bowl. Bump that down to a medium right now. I don't want to take all the oil with this. Wipe the oil off the side of my wok here. I'm going to set this off to the side. I'm going to go back up on high here. I bumped the temp down. I'm going to go in with my onions and my garlic. Get that cooking in here. And those little stuck tidbits at the bottom of the wok, they're starting to brown up nicely at this point, which is good because that's when we're going to come in with the whiskey here, and or bourbon, sorry. Bourbon, whiskey, whatever. And we're going to deglaze this. Just like so. And that's going to help cook the alcohol out of this. Trying to scrape best as I can. Instructions said not to use anything metal in this. Use plastic or silicone, because if I scratch the coating, it's going to scratch my anti-stick. Okay, so now in with my liquid for the sauce. And we just sieved out all the ginger that had been soaking in that liquid. And I also heated that liquid a few times in the microwave to get it, you know, keep it hot, basically. And by doing that, I also got maximum, I think, out of that ginger without, you know, grating it and leaving it in there. Okay, and at this point, I'm going to reintroduce my chicken. And just let this marry together. This will give the chicken a nice color, and all the flavors are going to meld together here. We're going to let this cook together for about 5 minutes, and we'll get right back to you. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes, and the whole purpose of me just letting this meld for 5 minutes and, you know, boil basically, is adds flavor to the chicken and concentrates the flavor of the sauce. Now comes the next part where we take our cornstarch here. You want to make sure it's fluid in here and moving, and just kind of pour it in. And this is what's going to thicken our sauce here. And I'm going to go ahead and clear that out and just stir this in. And that's the piece de resistance, as I call it. Cook a little bit more and thicken a little bit more here. Just want to make sure it reached its full potential for thickening. I'm satisfied with that. And since the chicken was cooked already when it went in that bowl, I'm just going to reuse the bowl. And here we go. Now to serve this, you can serve it over rice and with some broccoli, as if you're on my Facebook channel, you saw a picture the other day of that. That's the way I ate mine, was over rice with some broccoli. Or you could do, you know, low carb, well, lower carb I guess, and not do any rice and just eat it on vegetables or however you choose. Totally your choice at that point. But obviously we need to try this and make sure it's good. I'm sure it is, but sauce is good. It keeps dripping on me. Oh yeah. That's got to be one of the best bourbon chickens I've had. You know, since I can't seem to find it around here, I can't even find a good Chinese restaurant near me, to be honest with you folks. That's kind of why I'm making so many American Chinese inspired dishes here. So, hit me up on Facebook. I'm on the group Thai Food, of course. I got my Twitter, Instagram. Honestly, I don't use Twitter and Instagram a whole lot. Probably should use it more than I do, but you know, to each their own. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the bell icon. It'll notify you when I upload a new video. Thanks for tuning in.